starting your journey to financial freedom. Now. You're listening to the New Investor Podcast.
This is the Young Investor for the New Investor Podcast, and it is day 91 on our journey towards financial freedom. First and foremost, I'd like to apologize for the occasional noise you may hear, as where we live at the moment in third tier city in Asia. Most of the people, if not everyone, has their business at home, and we happen to be located next to a workshop, and the gentleman works all day, and the sound may come all over the living room at times. Second, in this location, it doesn't seem to be a habit to have air conditioning installed in the living room, so you may hear the fan moving as it is summer and it is extremely hot. So I'd like just to pinpoint here that sacrifice in terms of location is extremely important as well. If you believe where you live actually now is expensive and then you can't make ends meet, then consider moving. So to get back to the podcast, all the lost gains accumulated since the beginning of the year and the trade war between the US and China have now been recovered, mainly because the Federal Reserve of the United States have maintained their interest rates, most probably due to the fact that the trade war has created more economic activity within the United States, and the economy is healthy, the economy is strong. There is no need to boost it further at this stage, while still putting them down is still considered, and they voiced that consideration, which in case the situation escalates. So investors' confidence is temporarily back. Once again, the markets closed yesterday on a positive note, and these are the quick headlines. Only 9 days to go, until the end of the month, and I have no doubt that you have managed to score some great savings this month, as I did. And as I told you in the beginning of the month, I had set an objective to ensure I have built enough cash to increase my position in Apple stocks. The stock recovered strong, and that may no longer be possible for me for now. But I am looking forward to see how this impacted their quarterly earnings, but I doubt I will have the opportunity to buy the stock at the price target I had set, which is now about $50 below the current one. So it could have been possible should the headline that we know had escalated much further. So Apple is expected to release their next quarterly earnings on July 30th. There is still more time, and I wanted to share my reasoning now that my approach should adapt, basically my approach to the new situation, that is that things seem to be normalizing again. So I did make an investment in Apple last year, and so far it has paid off and gained about 38.5% so far. So as I said, it will be difficult to get back to that last year's stock price level. Should I make a substantial investment today, my average would increase substantially. My average, I mean by all the stocks that I currently own, plus all the stocks I would be owning on a higher price, all of that average together would be increased substantially. So what we need to bear in mind in this case is that I would need to come up with what is the acceptable average or the new acceptable stock price I would be ready to consider at a higher price, obviously, to increase my position, and then set that new price as a target and initiate the process to make my investment. So I started building cash since a while, since my last investment 2 months ago. And with that objective in mind, having Apple into my sights, and I have accumulated some savings there, and I have my current savings of this month, and I will have the July income out of which I will take a chunk out and use as an investment. So all of this together will constitute my buying power for my intent to buy Apple stocks. So I will await for the earnings to be released, which I anticipate would hit negative conservatively the stock price, given China represents 20% of Apple top line revenues, and the last news about Apple I just heard this morning, they're studying the possible relocation of 15 to 30% of the production outside of China, which could take a very long time to accomplish, but it is also a hint into how the next earning call could sound like. So I will be ready with some serious buying power from now until the end of July. However, I will also consider the risk that everything may return to a certain degree of normality between the US and China until then, and that is for two reasons. One, the G20 will happen on the 28th and 29th of June. President Trump and President Xi Jinping of China will meet and talk. Things could evolve positively, hence affecting how the stock price of Apple reacts. So if everything goes well and there's some new initiatives between the two countries taken, then obviously the stock price of Apple will go up, but we don't know exactly what will happen at this stage. So I'm not going to go into more technicalities. It is my own judgment and strategy, and I do not base it on hundreds of hours of CNBC or Bloomberg or listening to some financial advisor. I am certain you can come up with similar reasoning on any other stock, provided you're genuinely interested in the companies you own or wish to own. Stay appraised, do your research, don't complicate things there. I think the key here is not the headlines, but your ability to sacrifice and save to build that buying power, allowing you to be an investor. Do not lose sight on our purpose. Our aim is freedom, and that comes with sacrifice, and you must be willing to understand what that means in this particular context. In the meantime, I wish you all a great Friday ahead. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and I really hope that it brings you some additional support on your own journey towards financial freedom. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to never miss an episode, and looking forward to your DM and follow on Instagram at New Investor Podcast. In the meantime, stay invested, be patient, and keep playing the long-term game.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.